Good evening. Welcome to Karl Marx Does the Washing Out.
Where we ponder ludicrous metaphysical nonsense in the time it takes to make 5 Tesco's basic microwave meals.
Which is around 21 minutes.
It is indeed.
I'm Shy Tully.
And I'm Ilyas and Shy.
And actually, so this is what I wanted to discuss with you. So I'm speaking to my father, right? And we're in the temple. It's kind of weird in the temple because there's a lot of different rooms in the temple, there's a lot of different gods. And my dad is praying and he's like, I'm really intimate with this one god. And the god's name is Ram. It's like one of the male gods. And I was like, what do you mean? But obviously, because he's my father, he's exactly like me, so he couldn't explain what he meant.
And also you ignore everything.
And also, yeah.
But wait, who's Ram? Ram's what's the god of what?
So
Intimacy.
No. I don't know if there is a god of intimacy. Ram is one of the, I don't really know actually. Should have maybe paid a bit more attention to what he was saying.
Okay. Well, it depends. It depends what he's the god of, whether you want to be intimate. Why you want to be intimate with a certain god.
Yeah, but can you be intimate with God?
Well, for me, I think I would be more likely to be intimate with the god of chocolate than the god of traffic tickets.
Yeah, but we're thinking of this in a very polytheistic way. Because, a lot of people see...
Wait, so we should be thinking in a monotheistic way?
Well, I mean, can you be intimate with a monotheistic god?
Yeah, very... I think you can. But wait, no, speak about your father.
Wait, let's speak about that. It's like I'm giving a eulogy.
Yeah.
What other context would you speak about your father?
Yeah, but also, it's so plebeian to give a eulogy once someone's
dead. Yeah. No, so my father's unhealthy, right? He's always been very ill. So I think Ram is like a god in terms of one that provides positive energy and health. So he's got this relationship with this god. But it's really interesting because I think a lot of people see intimacy as something that you need a physical intimacy, you need a physical closeness, as well as an emotional and a mental one. So it's just really interesting to hear my father say that he's intimate with this God, when there's obviously no physical expression of that, unless you consider praying to be quite an intimate expression.
Okay. Well, I think the thing is, do you require an imagery of the God in order to have the intimacy with it?
Well,
so if there was no imagery of Ram,
yeah,
right, or no imagine physical form, then could you still be intimate with it?
Well, so that's what's interesting about it. We have deities of Ram in our house, and he will pray to them, and in that temple he was praying to it. So I do think one does need that imagery.
And so it is, in a sense, a physical...
it's a physical intimacy. So then, do you think you can generate that intimacy without that physical object?
Well, I think I have that.
With what?
With God or whatever. What I would consider God, which is just like a all-pervading nothingness, right?
But do you still have that physical presence of it if it's an all-pervading nothingness, right?
Yeah, well,
you're surrounded by it.
Well, it's a state of connectivity, right? So you're connected to your environment, and for me, when I'm in that state of hyperconnectivity with the environment, or let's say, normally happens within an ecological context, on the beach at night in the park when I'm wandering.
Yeah, such a romantic scenarios.
But I think it's a lot to do with being by the self, because it's very hard to manage intimacy with so many people. It's if I went to the park to have with lots of friends, to have intimacy with God, it's like having an orgy, and I don't know who to be focusing on, right? And there's a lot of, everybody warns you about, having a threesome, right? Because your girlfriend might not like you afterwards, and you might like her.
It might change how you feel about things.
So that's what I feel like with people and God, But,
that's an interesting point. You need to be alone to be intimate with something.
No, I don't think you do need to be alone to be intimate with something. But for me, I struggle.
There's strength in that.
Yeah. And for me, there's an intense intimacy that I can have in solitude, which I really struggle with human relationships or other people. The intensity of the intimacy that I will have, just alone in a park, or what I can experience, is on a higher level than anything I've achieved with any other person.
Well, I think this is something that's thrown at us a lot, right? A lot of people accuse us of having a fear of intimacy. Ex-girlfriends have maybe said that to us, or maybe even our friends have said that to us.
Nobody said that to me.
No one said that to you.
No.
I get this all of the time.
Yeah, I told you that.
No, but I think, but I think I'm with you. I think the feeling that I've had in solitude with something, I'm not really sure what it is much stronger than the strength of something that I've had with another human.
Yeah, well, so for me, I think it's because there's a self-consciousness that you have when you're with other people, because you see that there's a conscious, judging person opposite you, who you're trying to be intimate with. And so you kind of like begin to see from their perspective and start to judge yourself. And then you become overly self-conscious of your behaviors. And so in order to have intimacy, you need to let go, and you need to have this sense of trust and this very like kind of internal spiritual binding, right? And when there's so many layers of like society between that, it's very hard. Whereas when you go to a park and you're just like grooving with God, then first, we don't know what God is. Maybe he's one badass, judgmental motherfucker. But like
several badass.
Yeah, exactly. But at least our conception isn't that, and our conception is so like airy fairy and like ineffable that we don't actually. And I think there's like wrapped in that. There's also like an unbelief in God.
Yeah, so you're not really judging yourself as well in that moment, right? You're very open to whatever it could be.
Yeah, you're not judging. Exactly.
You're not reflecting back onto yourself.
Yeah. And that's why also like hugging a tree or something, like I feel like I can hug a tree, like really
be intimate with a tree.
And be very intimate with the tree, because I don't think that tree's thinking it's quite hairy.
Yeah, exactly. But what you're referring to, I think we're making two mistakes. First of all, the strength of something that we feel in solitude is maybe something that we should not be comparing to experiences that we have with other people. Like maybe they're just two completely separate things, and we shouldn't be trying to align the two together. And secondly, but do you think that over time, trust and those layers that we referred to just break down naturally, and intimacy is something that just flows naturally? Maybe we're putting too much emphasis on it happening instantly when really it will just happen naturally over time.
Yeah. No. I think things will happen naturally over time, but then you kind of... There's like... Yeah, but you can still have blockages, right? So things can happen naturally over time. That wine is disgusting.
I just not expected that. Sorry.
So you have you can have blocks, so things can naturally occur over time, but you have to have some sort of trust, I think, and that trust builds, and when the trust builds, and then also when you begin to sort of expose your weaknesses to each other, and you feel that really like the other person begins to accept your weaknesses and almost to some degree find them endearing, then that gives you power to begin to share more of yourself, and then you're like, and that leads to a different, another intimacy.
No, but so I had this theory, and I think it's something we've discussed, and and my counter offer to that was, like we always present our positives first. I went on a couple of dates and I presented my negatives. You did? Yeah, my negatives are, we're not very good at time management, right? So it turned out I was like half an hour late.
Yeah, but you always present that. That's the first thing you present.
Yeah, but if it's like, okay, fine.
That's nonsense. Like, you present your time management things regularly.
Yeah, okay, fine. I presented that. I did, what other flaws do I have? Oh, yeah, potentially we talk too much. Maybe people think we talk too much. Or maybe I talk about the charity too much or whatever. But I was just...
you don't. That's nonsense.
Fine, I just presented all the flaws that I think
what
that
are they?
I have.
Tell me what flaws you have. You don't...
time management is definitely one. Hair.
God complex.
Hair. God complex. I just dismissed all of the questions that she had. Hair. So I wore a very low V-neck so she could see how hairy I was.
Yeah, but you love your hair.
Yeah, but not everyone else loves it. It might be a flaw.
Yeah.
Fine, what flaws do you have?
I don't have any. But I never said I had any flaws.
Oh, then maybe that's your one flaw.
When I'm talking about exposing your flaws, and I'm being I'm trying to give advice to everybody else, not myself. We know by now.
Okay, fine.
How else would we have a podcast if we were flawed?
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
That's very true. People really worship us.
Okay,
Yeah, and yet we've received no emails. Maybe if people could email us at karlmarxdoesthewashing@gmail.com.
Yeah, or just Instagram us.
Oh yeah, just Instagram us. Maybe on topics that you would like us to discuss.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Tell us what we would like to discuss.
Yeah.
Or if you're getting bored of this topic. It seems like Shy is.
No, okay, let's because this wine is terrible.
Okay.
Yeah, but okay, fine. So I'm back in the park, and I've got this beautiful, intimate relationship with this spiritual power, because I feel it as well, right? And maybe for me, it's not in the park; it's in the bath, wherever I can find some alone time.
There's a homeless guy behind you.
Oh, there's in my bath or in the park. Yeah, but is that because I just completely trust what I'm feeling? Is that because I've already broken down all these barriers? Because there are still blockages to believing in God and blockages to believing in any power.
Yeah, but it's not about believing. It's about believing is like how you sort of linguistify something in retrospection, right? Of that moment, right? I mean, there are blockages
to it.
Well, like we don't need to call it God. Like the God is something that we.
That's just a relatable word, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just something that we ascribe to it based on some doctrinal belief system that we have to give it some form, right?
Yeah,
but in the moment in the park, there's no God, there's no form, there's no imagery. It's just like you and nature. And if you have that deep connection, then you want to ascribe some transcendent quality to it. But
is that the issue? We're trying to ascribe that transcendent quality to the human connections that we have. And do you think that we can achieve that transcendent quality in human intimacy?
Maybe the problem is that we don't see the girls that we're dating as gods. We only see ourselves as gods. So maybe we just need to be humbled. So we need to see ourselves inferior to the thing that we're intimate with. Whereas when we're with God or nature, we're inferior to that.
So
when we're with
naturally
another
humble,
girl,
right?
we're like, no.
Yeah, okay, but then how does one become more humble? I think that's a much deeper rooted topic for us, because how would we possibly be humble? We have a podcast.
Gratitude.
No, but we're thankful for...
Whoa, huh?
We're thankful for iTunes, where we should show more gratitude.
Yeah.
Maybe we should only date people who listen to the podcast.
No, but that goes without saying. But no. I think how do we be more humble? So I think definitely like humility is like creates a sort of space within the self which allows intimacy to grow.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think like the main, the relationship with God is grounded in that, and a submission, right? And because God is, you're something small in the context of something large and all powerful, and your sort of kind of ability to bind to that, right, develops this humility. And when we have that humility, there's that sense of gratitude, and you see something has been given to you from outside, right?
But that's so easy to do in the context of nature, because you are physically dwarfed by it, right? Or even like this all-pervading God, you are physically dwarfed by it. But if it's someone sitting across the table from you who is of a similar height and similar size, you're not dwarfed by them. So it's hard for you to see them in this grandiose manner to develop humility.
So I have this kind of like, it's sort of a philosophy, but it's like a really profound kind of feeling that you get. It's quite hard to linguistify, but when you for a moment kind of begin to like recontextualize somebody you're with, or like a friend or a partner, and you actually realize like how they sit in the world of other people, then I feel like you can kind of begin to like gain a gratitude for their existence. Because if you think of like, everybody's a celebrity in somebody's eyes, right?
Somebody's eyes. That's so true.
Yeah, okay. We're bad examples because we're celebrities in many. But the thing is,
but even if it's just their mothers, right?
Yeah, even if it's just their mothers.
Yeah.
There's also so many.
That's a really beautiful way to look at the world, by the way.
Yeah,
that's really beautiful.
No, and like it really changes your perspective. So when I'm saying like, there's always like there's always somebody, if you were out on a date with a girl or something, there's always somebody who's asked that girl out who would love to be in your situation.
100%,
right?
yeah.
And there's so many people who idolize. We're all idolized by someone.
Yeah. That's
and
so
to
true.
see like us being just able to be in that space with that person is quite amazing. And I think this is what I sometimes think about. It's really good also with like your family and stuff to recontextualize like your parents. Like we take our parents for granted so much. And we just think that
so much.
And then when I go to like mosque or something, people love my mom and stuff, and nobody. And she doesn't really have so much time to see it. There's so many people who want to spend time with her, and then
she always wants to spend.
She always wants to spend time with me,
right?
And I don't really respect that. Yeah. But when I start seeing her, it's like
this celebrity, right? Yeah,
but it's not necessarily. It's just like somebody special that like now that you really value that person has like chosen to spend time with you. It's quite amazing. Of all the however billion people in the world,
like,
you both chosen to be with each other. That's kind of
so. Also, that's really fascinating as well, because what we just touched on there is like I've heard people being intimate with God, right, and I've heard people being intimate with their partners and their friends, but no one really discusses intimacy with their parents. Like, everyone has this really unique relationship with their parents, right, and it's not based on anything physical. It's a pure emotional intimacy, right?
Yeah. So I think there's also two types of intimacy. One is this like grand poetic sort of